Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Drew McCrary. I want to welcome you to our webinar today on kind of getting starting and building your business on Upwork. I'm here and I will be joined by Desiree Harrison, who together we manage the webinar content as well as the training internally here. So we do a lot of work with freelancers, and we're really excited that you're here. I just want to give you a little bit of logistics and then we'll get started. We are going to be doing about 30 minutes, 40 minutes of content. And then afterwards, we're doing a live Q&A. You are going to be muted for the duration of this. But what you can do is you can look to your right on the GoToWebinar panel and there'll be a question box. And so Desiree is going to be in the question box panel, manning the booth as it were, and answering all of your questions as they come up along the way. So feel free to ask anything as you go. We'll do our best. We won't be able to get to everybody, but we're going to do our best to answer as many as possible. There's a lot of you on the call. So with that being said, you'll see the question box and I see people are already in there, so that's good. And I am going to just go ahead and get started. So what we're going to talk about today is a lot. We're going to talk about how one builds a profile, what clients might be looking for in a profile, what you should think about as you're crafting and submitting proposals, how do you get paid, how are contracts set up, what is your reputation and how you manage it, and then of course just answering lots of questions on the back end. So I'm recording this session. You'll get an email afterwards that will have a link to this so you can listen to it and watch it again, so you don't have to worry about writing everything down, or if you miss something, you can get it on the back end. Just a plug up front, community.upwork.com is community.upwork.com is a great place to ask questions that might not get answered here. There's a live and vibrant community of people who are ready to answer your questions. So I'm going to jump right in. You obviously have already built some level of a profile, is my assumption, to get on the platform. And I want to talk about some of the components about how you can up-level your profile to really stand out. So this is an example of a really good profile, and I'll go through some of the components of why that is. John B. Is very clear right off the bat about what he does, and that drills down into deeper levels as you keep going. So from the top end, you see he does video production, screen capture, and animation. Very clear here. And then right after that, you're going to see the actual skills tags that he does and that are directly related to what he's put in his tagline. And then to drill down even more, he's going to tell you more about what he does below that specifically, right? So this is a great way to kind of cascade your information. You can also add a video, which is a great visual introduction to you and what you do, or if you have some video for the work that you do as an intro, that's a great thing to add in. I want to go and kind of drill down into some of the pieces of what I've already talked about. A lot of folks will ask about, what if I don't have a work history and I'm trying to build my reputation on Upwork? Because John, as you can see, has a 98% JSS, job success score. He's top rated, which means he's earned over $1,000 in the year, taken a certain amount of jobs, and you can see he's been very active, right? So if you're just getting started, which a lot of you are, this might not be populated yet, the work history, or some of the other pieces. So you're going to be wanting to get those first jobs, establish your job success score, and some of the ways that you can cross that gap to the first job is to, one, take the skills tests for your field. They are private if you want them to be private. So let's say you take the Camtasia skills test and you don't score high, you do not need to show that, right? So he's showing his Photoshop one that's below average. I might not show that. You don't have to, right? So if you're in the top 10% or whatever you feel comfortable with, you definitely want to show that. If you don't, then you can hide it. It's private until you can retake it. Each test has a different cooldown. I highly recommend you take those, especially as you're crossing the gap to first job. If you've done work outside the platform, then you can represent that in your education and your employment history. Also, you can talk about in your overview what you've done, what you bring, what your specialized piece is. That's one piece. Another piece is that you'll want to talk in your proposals and customize every one, and I'll get to that. But those are some of the ways that you'll be utilizing to overcome the barrier to start working on the platform. And as you get jobs, then this will start to populate and you'll start to get feedback and things will happen. But in the beginning, putting your portfolio up, putting your work history outside of the platform, really important ways for people to see what you've done. So you're going to want to get to 100% completion on your profile. If you haven't already, it's super important, not only to qualify for our top rated and rising talent programs, but also just so that folks can really get a sense of who you are. And so you've done that, and then now you're in the mix of looking through the thousands and thousands of jobs out there, and it's overwhelming, right? There's just a lot of stuff out there. What's a good job? What's a good client? And I want to dive into that a little bit. And so here is a template. I'm sorry, not a template, but here's an actual job post. And I found this on the platform and I wanted to bring it out because it's so clear. And I don't know that you always find this level of depth and clarity, but what's important about this is you are vetting your clients. You are interviewing your clients as much as they are interviewing you. So you want to start looking at what are the jobs that I can win, right? If you just blanket approach and just send out a form letter to everyone, you are not going to get jobs. It is unlikely. It might happen, but like most clients, and I can speak from my own experience, if someone sends me a form letter that does not read the questions that I've posted, I'm immediately disqualifying them. And so investing time in doing the research and customizing every proposal, we believe in general will help you to have a better chance at landing jobs. So a little deeper dive on this. This guy has 28 reviews, or this person. They've posted 92 jobs, have hired about 45% of them. That's good. You want to know that someone's posting jobs and actually hiring them. They've spent money on the platform. They have active jobs going on. That's also great. And here's an average amount of hourly rate. These are all great indicators that this person's actually going to hire their job. I saw someone on the platform who had like 29 jobs posted the other day that hired 0 of them. Like, I would be hesitant to apply for that job because they haven't hired anybody, but they posted a lot. So these are great things to look for. You're vetting this person. Then what's great about this job post is that they are very, very clear about, I want a responsive and adaptive site. It's got to be modern and clean. Here's what I'm looking for. Here's exactly what I'm going to do to hire somebody. I mean, this person is clearly hired before. They know what they want. They're giving you everything. And so if you feel like you can do that, another question that folks will often ask is people will list, I need a 90% JSS score or higher. Should I even apply for that job? And, I generally would recommend if you read the job description and you think you can do it, if you think you can compete realistically, I would probably apply. I can't speak for every client, and I don't know what their decision matrix is, if they even look at that, but I can only speak for myself. If someone responded to my job proposal and answered all of my questions, and I could see that they were customizing it, I would certainly take at least a second look at that person. So again, every person hires differently, but That's a question we often get asked if you should apply for jobs where they have those requirements. So again, make sure that you can answer all these questions and do that. And how you do that, how you answer it, or if you are giving them recommendations on how you would solve the problem, this is your chance to stand out and to say, I read what you wrote, I'm listening, here are my suggestions, I'm excited to work on this, I'd love to talk to you more about it. Here are projects I've done that are similar to this. Here's like an example in my portfolio of something that shows that I can do exactly what you're asking for. These are all things that are gonna say to this client, whoa, this person understands me and my problem and wants to help me. So the summary on this is customize every single proposal and make sure that you're attacking jobs that you think you can do. The worst thing you can do is attack a job and potentially win one that you can't deliver on. That's a problem, probably for your reputation. So make sure that you can win it, you have the time necessary and availability to do it, and customize it. So this is a summary of that. It's okay to establish a framework, right? You've got, a 3-paragraph form that you kind of use because you are probably competing for the same types of jobs, but then you can add in, like there might be the background on you doesn't change, right? But you do want to customize what you specifically bring and how you're going to solve their specific problem and examples, right? And the little plug on this is do not do free work. If they're asking you to do work for that job, that's free work. And there are ways for you to get paid for that. They can set up a test job. And what that means is they might not know this, but you can say, hey, can you set up a test job, pay me for an hour of work or 2 hours of work to let me show you what I can do for this job. I encourage clients to do that all the time with their top, 3 or whatever freelancers that they're looking at, so they can then say, oh, this person is submitting to me work and it's showing me that this person stands out from the other one. That way you're paying for work that's delivered, that your freelancer is doing, and you're getting paid for work that you do. But you can always provide examples of things you've done in the past that are similar, things like that. You might even build a specific example for them, but it wouldn't be free work. It would just be something that showed what you did or can do, right? So that's the kind of piece on submitting great proposals. I can't say that enough. Customize every proposal. And here's another example of how someone actually responded to a job. This is a different job, but we thought it was pretty funny because this actually exists on the platform. I don't have all the questions that the client asked, but you can see from this person, they make it clear they read and did some research on the job and the website, and they're excited to say, hey, look, I have some ideas I'd like to share with you about this. And not only do I have ideas that I'd love to discuss with you, and that's kind of the call to action, just to have this client say, ooh, they have ideas, let's talk to them about that. But also, here is a sample of what I do and how it applies directly to this job. And here's some of the experience I've done in this field, right? So, and then asking and saying, hey, I hope that this helps you to achieve your goals, right? To meet your goals. So this is a great example of a call to action, and that you have ideas. And some folks might go the next step and actually give some ideas on how they would solve or tackle this problem, where they might even ask questions about, hey, I've noticed there's a gap here, and I'd like to talk about that or talk to you about how I can solve it. So again, the time you spend here, I think, is time well spent in proposals. I can't say that enough. And with that, make sure that you are thinking about how long is this job going to take you? Can you see how many proposals have already been submitted to this job? You can see that. Again, what is the hire rate? Is this client hiring? Have they hired in the past? Is it their first job? If it's the first job they've posted and they're a little bit vague, that could be a yellow flag. but it might not be a red flag, because if they don't know exactly what they want, you might be the person to show them what they want. They're learning the platform too. It could also mean they don't know what they're doing and it might not be a good job. I don't know that answer. That is for you to figure out in your journey, but know that the one proposal job post I said earlier, that was very clear. That person obviously knows what they want. You'll see all versions of that on our site. We're a marketplace. We have everything. We have good clients. We have bad clients. We have clients that are trying to get jobs for cheap. We have clients that know what they want and hire the best freelancers. We don't control that. That's for you to learn about. And so do the research, do understand the field that you're working in, and invest in understanding what you bring and what the differentiation is of you and all the other people out there. That could be service, it could be English level, it could be anything. But what is your price point? What might you negotiate on this job? How would you do it? These are just all really good questions to ask yourself and potentially ask the client as well. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to come back. The clients aren't perfect and are often hiring because they need help with something and they don't know what they need. So take that into consideration. And again, I can't say enough. Look at the skill level that they're looking for. They might be asking for an expert level job and you're saying to yourself, this is not an expert level job. Again, you do the research. And yeah, I think that's a lot on that, but I can't stress it enough. I want to talk briefly about the fees that you'll incur and why we've built the platform in this way. For the first $500 you do with a client, it's gonna cost you 20%. That's $100 on the first $500. We believe that the longer that you are engaged with one client, the better for everybody. And so we've built the platform to incentivize that. After $500 to $10,000, it's a 10% fee. And above 10,000, it's 5%. The hope is that you do a job for the client. They like it. They're really monitoring you on the first one, and then they say, "Wow, this was awesome. By the way, can you do this as well, or can you do this again, or can you do more of this, or do you have a friend who does something like this?" And that grows your connection with that client and continues. And maybe they need to check less on your work, and then you're able to take on more with them. We think that benefits everybody, and so that's the way that the scale is set up. And we understand that in some categories, repetitive work is not part of the job. They're generally one-time jobs, and we've done our best to set things up to be the most beneficial. And for that, we apologize if you are just having to do small jobs over and over and over again. So, getting paid. There's a couple types of jobs, in fact, two on Upwork that I want to talk about: fixed price and hourly jobs. So what are the difference between these two? We get a lot of questions about them. Know that there's more information on this on our help center and in the community. You can search for Help Center Upwork, and then you can ask, you can ask questions to that, and it will tell you about the payment timeline, and I'll talk about it here. You can ask questions, but it's also available online. So a fixed price job is for work that's very clearly able to be defined. So if I am hiring someone to design a logo for me, for example, that can be broken down into very specific milestones, we call them, very specific posts, stopping points along the way. And so part of the client's job is to write these steps down. Step one, provide me a black and white template. Step two, animate it or draw it more. Step three, colorize it. Step four, whatever. So the way it works is in the job flow, you would see the milestones that the client has proposed. You can, even during the job, propose more milestones. So you might think that there's an extra step that you need to put in there, and you could break that job down into more steps. The things that you'll look for as a freelancer, this is how we protect your money, right? That you're going to get paid and that the client pays. They will set up milestone one. Milestone one is make me a black and white rough idea of the logo. And then they click start work, and then they'll click fund the milestone. And what that means is when work begins, they've clicked that button and the money gets pushed into an escrow service. And that means that money is held. It's held by an escrow service, and that means that you're protected and the client is protected. So you should not work until the client has pushed the money into that escrow, right? And then they fund the milestone, it's called. It'll say on your profile that the milestone, I think I have it on the next slide. It'll show you that the milestone is funded, that $1 milestone for the mock-up, right? Let's say that was the logo mock-up. Then you can begin work. You finish the mock-up. You send the mock-up via the messages platform on Upwork to the client. And then the client reviews it. They say, this is perfect. Let's start the next milestone. So they will release the money. They can say green, yellow, red, right? You did it. Here's the money. Not quite what I wanted. Go back and can you make a couple additions? Or this wasn't what I wanted. Do something else, right? So when the work is done and they've released the milestone to you, then that money is going to ultimately be released to you. Then they're going to fund the next milestone. It's very important that that happens, right? You should never work until the milestone is funded, because that means the money's now being held in an escrow service outside of you and them, and that means that it's protected. So that's the way that fixed price contracts work, and they're really good for jobs that are able to be defined in this way. Not all jobs are like that, right? So here it is. The client funds the milestone, they approve the deliverable, and then it's held as a security hold, and then 5 business days after that is approved and the funds are available to you. You can obviously start working on the next milestone once it's been funded, so you don't have to wait that timeline. So for an hourly project, it's going to work a little differently. You're going to agree with the client on roughly how many hours a week you can work. And so on an hourly contract, you'll download the time tracker app, and you'll press the button when you start working, and then it starts logging time. And you'll see here, and you'll be able to look at this. It shows your screenshots of when it was taken of your computer and how active you were. And this is different than a fixed price project, because in the fixed price project, it's about a milestone. Make me the mock-up of the logo. If you're doing a customer support job, or you're doing a job like you need to get on the phone or whatever, something like that, or working tickets or something, this is going to track that you were working versus what you were doing necessarily. And you're protected in, if you were working during the time that you agreed to, then your money is going to be protected. And so you'll be working with the client to talk about what is good work. That's a different conversation, because your hours are going to be protected, because if you're logging time and you were working, then that's going to be protected. And the way it works is you start working, say, on a Monday, and then the work week ends on a Sunday. So you've checked your work diary, you made sure you're working and logging time, and then the week ends and the client gets charged, and that means that money again gets pulled into being held, right, in escrow. And then the client has 5 days to review those things. If there's a bunch of screenshots where you weren't working, yet you were logging time, they can dispute that and say, hey, it doesn't look like you were working here. What happened? And you might say, well, the internet went down, or you have that conversation. And then on Fridays, 5 days later is the final day for them to dispute that. Then the money's held again in a security hold, and then it's let go to you. So this process can, like that next Monday, you would be working the next week. So the process just continues and continues and continues. So that's how our hourly payments work. So let's talk a little bit about your reputation and some of the things that we believe are indicators of a good freelancer. So we always encourage our clients to make sure to give feedback. And you should definitely, if a job is complete, ask your client to close the job. Ask them to make a new job if there's more work that was outside of the scope from your first job. We want you to generate reputation for the work that you do, and we want the clients to generate reputation for the work that they hire. So this feedback system is really important. There's public and private feedback. One little note here that I want to mention: you are running a business. By the very nature of you being a freelancer, you are a small business, whether you know it or not. So if you were reading a review of a food, like Yelp is a good example, I'll read reviews of a restaurant, and I understand that it's just regular people writing food reviews. But when someone writes a negative review and the owner comes on and says, you're wrong, you don't know what you're talking about, you're a rude person, versus, a professional response. I mean, if the business owner sucks, then I don't want to go to that restaurant. And so too, should you consider that public feedback, even if the client, if you had issues, making that a professional communication is very important. Again, you are a brand, you are running a business. So just be aware of that, and respond professionally. And again, if there's private feedback, you have that opportunity to provide that as well. That's a different level, but professionalism, obviously, always encouraged. So be living in your stats dashboard. We believe one of the indicators of success is one, your responsiveness, right? I personally believe that you can't communicate enough, especially with a new client. If you're communicating a lot and doing your best to understand and ask questions and be very, very clear and helping the client define what they want, that's going to leave a lot less room for miscommunication. And then saying, well, the client could say, well, that's not what I wanted at all. And so getting really clear and communicating along the way and asking for feedback and all of that, I really think is a great skill to have and will help you. But so we believe that responsiveness at the very least is a great indicator, as well as you're going to want to look at how effective you are in your marketing, right? So how many proposals are you sending out and how many are you getting accepted, right? So it's a good check for you to say, am I attacking the right jobs? Am I getting hits on these and I'm making it to the interview and then just not getting the job? Or am I getting nothing? And so that can be a good indicator for you to look at how you're in, like what you're attacking, maybe what types of job you're attacking, what fields you're attacking them in, your profile. There's a lot of things. You're going to have to tinker with this a little bit as you get started, and figuring out what niche you can attack and succeed in. So be looking at this, be monitoring it. At the very least, I would generally suggest respond quickly, always. Even if you aren't interested in the job, if someone invites you or asks you to reply, unless it's some scam, weird job, which you would then report, we would take care of, respond to this person, and you never know, right? You're a business, doors are open. So here's a little bit on protecting you and protecting the marketplace, right? You are at your most vulnerable when you first get started. We do our best to make the most safe platform we possibly can. But like any marketplace out there, in person or online, there are fraudsters out there. There are bad clients out there. And so we need your help to scale. We need your help. If you see something, say something, tell us, flag it, report it. We have whole teams that are there to help protect our marketplace. Listen, we want the marketplace to be completely clean and have the best clients on there. And we're doing our best to do that, and we need your help. And so it's not good for anyone if they're out there. It's not good for you. It's not good for us. So we appreciate your help here. That's the like really malfeasant side of it, the really bad people. Also, like I said earlier, there are clients who don't know what they want. Maybe they have no idea that they can't ask for free work. Maybe they do, right? But as a best practice, if you feel like something's a little iffy, it's probably iffy. If clients are asking you to do work outside the platform, signing up somewhere else, do something that's outside of the terms of service, report that and know that you should never be doing free work. You shouldn't be giving financial information, right? You shouldn't be providing a custom sample that's work for them, right? That's free work. And so you're running a business and you want to protect your brand and protect yourself. So also know that, again, on the community, there are sets of people who are there to answer questions. They're happy to answer questions. We've likely seen this before and are happy to help. So don't be alone. If you feel something, you're like, I don't know about this, then ask a question and get some help. Also, in our terms of service, you're signed up to work on our platform. So if you find a job on our platform, it's in our terms of service to do it on our platform. So if a client is asking you to go off the platform, that is against our terms of service. They can pay to take you off the platform if they want, but that's on them. And so just in our terms of service, you need to do work on our platform. The tools that you use and how you talk is up to you, but know that please document all of the communications and the work that you're sharing on Upwork through our messaging and our other stuff, because if there ever is a problem and you say, oh, he didn't pay me, he like got my PayPal and then he never gave me money, we can't help you there, right? If you're not getting paid and you're not providing work through the platform, we can't protect you. So keep it on the platform and let us help you in case you ever need it. So, lots of stuff. So there are a couple things that we believe really will help you stand out in a very crowded marketplace, right? We have a lot of very good people on the market. And so in order for you on your journey to become one of those people, I would say make sure you complete your profile completely, 100%. Customize every proposal that you write. Put the time in to do the research about you as a brand. Who are you? What do you bring? What is your value proposition that separates you from the other people who are competing to get the same work as you? Is it your people skills? Is it your design skills? Is it your specific category that you do that no one else does? Research your brand and your field and research your clients and make sure that they're the right clients. Interview them. Ask them challenging questions. That's going to be a good client will recognize that you're trying to help them solve their problem versus you. Like, questions are a good thing in the right way. So that's important. If you see something, say something. If you feel uncomfortable, if something feels weird, then ask. We have communities of people that are there to help you. You can propose milestones. If you're on a fixed price project, Don't be afraid. This is a continuing relationship and engagement with these clients. Don't be afraid to ask for what you need. And just know that your status here is not binary. It's not, I am going to get paid, $20 an hour forever. Track your reputation. Look at what the people around you are charging. And what we hope is that as you get more jobs, you can increase your rate. You can increase your status. You can take harder and more difficult jobs, or you take the same jobs that you know you can win and you deliver every time. Your journey is always going to be different, but just because you were to take a fixed price job for 1 hour at $20 doesn't mean you're locked into that forever. You're running a business. You can change your rates at whatever time or place that you so desire, right? And so we hope that you're getting the skills and experience to do that and to make more money. So that's the hope there. And know that community.upwork.com, there are lots of people there. We have actually a very, 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 very active network. There are lots of people on 24 hours a day. A lot of them are just freelancers on the, mostly the people who are answering are just freelancers on the community. They don't work for us. And so they've been through this journey. You're not the first person to start from scratch on Upwork and then build a reputation. You're not the first and you're not the last. And so hopefully you may be someday that person who's answering questions and saying, here's my journey, right? So check it out, community.upwork.com. And then also know that we have our hiring headquarters, which if you search for hiring headquarters, you can find a lot of different information for clients and for freelancers on building a business and all sorts of other aspects. So I am going to stop sharing my screen now, and then I am going to